Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take these huge stacks of research, complex thinking, and try to boil it down into something you can actually use, like right away. Today, we are diving deep into Ray Dalio's foundational ideas, the billionaire investor.
Right, founder of Bridgewater.
Exactly. But we're not just looking at the money side. We're digging into his personal system for evolving quickly. It's almost like a user manual for navigating, well, life's rules.
That's a great way to put it. And our mission here is really to unpack that structure he talks about, the systematic pursuit of truth and excellence.
Okay.
The source material kind of lays it out in the three chunks. Why principles matter, his fundamental life principles, and then management stuff. We're focusing on that architecture, how effectiveness works personally and systemically.
Okay, so first things first. We probably need to get clear on what a principle even is in this context.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like more than just, I don't know, a nice motto.
Definitely more. A principle is like a fundamental truth, a concept you can apply over and over in similar situations. It acts like a filter for decisions.
Right.
They're not narrow answers to specific questions. They're the bridge, really, between your values, what you care about deep down, and your actions out in the world, especially when things get complicated.
And the source material really emphasizes this point. You're not supposed to just swallow these principles whole, right? You need to test them.
Absolutely. Stress test them against your reality.
Right.
The whole point is critical thinking. You constantly got to ask yourself, is this actually true for me, for my situation? Because look, if you don't genuinely buy into it, the second it gets tough, the second you feel that pain from a hard choice,
You just snap back to old habits.
exactly, you'll revert. So that questioning, that testing, that's the real engine for progress here.
Okay, so let's get into the foundation then. Part 1, wrestling with reality. Where does Dalio start?
It all begins with maybe his most fundamental principle, understanding reality accurately. What he calls truth, with a capital T, is the absolute bedrock for getting good outcomes.
Sounds straightforward, but I guess the application gets tricky. He talks about aligning with natural laws, not just what we wish were true.
Yeah, and this is where it can feel a bit stark. He makes a distinction between good and bad. Often when we say something's bad, we just mean it goes against what we personally want or what our group wants.
Yeah, okay.
But nature, reality, doesn't really care about our preferences. It just has laws, and it rewards or punishes based on whether you align with those laws. Operate effectively within reality, you get rewarded. Fight it, you don't.
Which brings us to that hyena and wildebeest analogy. It's pretty raw.
It is raw. And, it's worth sitting with for a second. The hyena hunts the wildebeest. Our first reaction is, oh, that's terrible, poor wildebeest.
Right.
Subjective pain. But Dalio pushes us to look at the second, third order effects. That individual death, that suffering, it's actually necessary. It keeps the herd strong. It keeps the ecosystem balanced. It drives evolution.
So the act itself, the killing, is good in a systemic sense. Not morally good as we feel it, but good because it serves the larger complex system of adaptation and improvement.
Precisely. Our human morality often bumps up against these, let's say, impersonal evolutionary forces. It's a tough pill to swallow sometimes. And that makes evolution the core driver of everything, in his view. That innate push to get better, to evolve, that's maybe the deepest human drive.
So that cycle, set goals, work, learn, achieve, repeat. That's our personal evolutionary process.
And it's what fulfills us. It also connects self-interest to the broader good. Usually when you pursue your own goals intensely, you push yourself, you innovate.
And that often creates a value for society too, right? Like a side effect.
Often a direct effect. He notes that money earned isn't just about wanting money. It's more like a rough measure of how much value you actually provided that society wanted.
So focus on the value creation. The money is just the score.
Kinda, yeah. The successful people often obsessed over the thing they were building, the service they were offering. The money followed that value.
Okay, so if reality and evolution are these big, sometimes harsh systems we need to align with, how do we actually do that? As individuals, we're messy, we make mistakes.
Right, and that leads directly to his 5-step process, which, interestingly, he says he developed because he needed it. He wasn't naturally gifted in conventional ways.
Ah, the origin story. He mentions being a pretty ordinary kid, bad rote memory.
Terrible rote memory, yeah. Below average student.
Yeah.
He needed a system because instinct wasn't enough. And that early investing story, age 12, getting lucky with an airline stock.
Northeast Airlines, yeah. Tripled his money by chance.
Pure luck. But it taught him some big lessons early on. 1, opinions aren't easily right. 2, bad opinions are costly. And 3, The consensus is often wrong. You got to think for yourself, systematically.
Which brings us to the process itself, the 5 steps. This is like the core engine for getting what you want.
It really is. The fundamental life principles distilled into this iterative loop. You got to do all 5 well. Let's walk through them. Maybe use an example like wanting to be more productive at work.
Okay, sounds good. Step 1.
Step 1, have clear goals. And these have to be things you really want, not just surface desires.
What's the difference?
Okay, so your goal might be advance my career, but your immediate desire might be watch Netflix instead of working on that project. That desire is a first-order negative consequence, blocking your second-order goal. See the conflict.
Got it. So distinguish true goals from fleeting desires. Okay, step 2.
Step 2, identify and don't tolerate problems. Problems are signals. He calls them gems embedded in puzzles. They're fuel for getting better. If you're not hitting your productivity targets, that gap is the problem. Don't ignore it. See it as an opportunity.
Okay, identify the gap. Step 3.
Step 3, accurately diagnose these problems. This is critical. And it's where, honestly, most people fall down. They stop too soon. You need the root cause.
Right, you mentioned this distinction, proximate versus root cause.
Yeah.
Let's nail that down.
Okay. Proximate cause is the surface action, often a verb. Using our example, I spent 3 hours scrolling social media. That's proximate.
What I did.
Exactly. The root cause is why you did it. It's deeper, often an adjective describing a state. You have to keep asking why.
So why did I scroll? Maybe because I got distracted. Why distracted? Because I don't have a clear plan for my work time. Why no plan? Because I am disorganized.
So, disorganized. Or maybe lacking focus. That's the root cause. It's a flaw in your underlying machine, not just the symptom of the breakdown.
That's a huge difference. Fixing the symptom, I won't scroll tomorrow, doesn't fix the disorganization.
Precisely. You haven't fixed the machine, which leads naturally to step 4.
Which is?
Step 4, design plans. Based on that root cause diagnosis, design a solution. Visualize it like a movie script. Who does what, when, how, to address that root cause. Maybe it's time blocking, using focus apps, whatever targets the disorganization.
Okay, design the fix. And finally, step 5.
Step 5, implement these plans. Do the tasks. Push through. This takes discipline, good work habits. You follow the script you designed, even if it's uncomfortable at first.
And that discomfort brings us back to pain, doesn't it? You said there's a psychological hinge point there.
Yeah, absolutely. When we hit pain making a mistake, facing a weakness, our instinct is fight or flight, avoidance, deflection.
Right.
The successful path, the evolutionary path, according to Dalio, is different. It's this formula: pain plus reflection, progress.
Pain plus reflection equals progress.
Yes. The pain is just a signal saying something's broken, needs attention. If you can consciously choose reflection instead of running away,
You turn the failure into fuel.
you turn it into an acceleration point for learning and evolving fast.
Okay, so managing this whole process, especially the reflection part, requires stepping back, right? This leads to the idea of the 2 U's.
Exactly. This is at higher level thinking. You need to manage your own machine, whether it's your life or a company. So you split yourself conceptually.
How does that work?
There's U1, who is the designer, the overseer of the machine, the systems, the goals, even the people involved, including yourself. And then there's U2, who is the participant, the worker bee, the resource within the machine.
Okay. And U1 needs to be objective about U2. This sounds potentially harsh. Dalio actually says you should be willing to fire U2 from a task if someone or something else is better.
It does sound harsh, and it's a really high standard. But the emphasis isn't on self-flagellation. It's on optimization for the goal. U1's job is to make the machine achieve its goal. If U2, your current skills, habits, whatever, has a weakness that's fundamentally blocking that goal, U1 must be objective enough to design a workaround.
So find a tool, a partner, a different system.
Whatever compensates for U2's weakness in that specific role. The anxiety comes from ego protecting U2. But U1 has to prioritize the mission, the machine's output, over U2's feelings of inadequacy. It's about effectiveness.
That really clarifies the stakes, especially when thinking about first versus second order consequences.
Right. The big danger is always getting seduced by the immediate feeling, the first order effect, and ignoring the longer term, more important second and third order effects.
Like exercise. First order. Pain, hassle, maybe soreness, all negative.
All stuff we instinctively avoid. But the second order, better health, more energy, confidence, longer life, hugely positive.
And reality, or natural selection, tends to penalize those who only live on that first layer.
Severely. We have to train ourselves to value, even crave, those second-order benefits enough to push through the first-order discomfort.
Thinking about this machine concept, though, it also offers a way to deal with weaknesses without feeling like a total failure, right? Like Dalio's own example with his bad memory.
Exactly. His poor rate memory was a fact, a weakness in U2. But U1, the designer, didn't just despair. He designed a solution.
He didn't force himself to become a memory champion.
No. He surrounded himself with people who did have great memories. He relied heavily on systems, tools, famously his BlackBerry back in the day, to externalize that function.
So he compensated.
He designed around the weakness. His ability to adapt the system was far more crucial than his innate memory skill. The lesson: your weaknesses don't define you if you find solutions for them. The capacity to learn and adapt the machine is key.
And when you apply this thinking to a team, an organization, these principles become management rules.
Yeah, they scale up. It becomes about building a culture of truth. A core idea is mistake-based learning.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
It means mistakes are expected, even necessary if you're pushing boundaries. It's okay to make them. What's not okay is failing to identify them, analyze them honestly, and learn from them.
So the biggest mistake is hiding the first one.
Absolutely. That's the cardinal sin in this system. Lack of transparency, failure to diagnose.
But wait, that sounds good, this radical openness and truth. But in reality, admitting a big screw-up can have real costs, right? Your reputation, maybe your job. How does the system make it safe enough for you two, the person, to actually do that?
That's the challenge of implementation. It requires leadership to truly institutionalize it, to make it clear, consistently, that the learning from the mistake is valued more than blame, that the worst outcome is hidden failure because then the machine cannot improve.
So it takes cultural reinforcement.
Deep cultural reinforcement. And it also requires individuals to cultivate being assertive and open-minded at the same time. Fight for your view based on evidence, but genuinely want to find out where you might be wrong.
Okay. And one last piece on culture: not all opinions are equal.
Right. Another key management principle: ideas should be judged on merit, yes. But to get to the truth efficiently, you need to weigh opinions differently based on believability.
Believability.
Believable people are those who have a proven track record in the specific area you're discussing, and they can logically explain their reasoning, especially under questioning.
Makes sense.
Open, thoughtful debate among the most believable people is seen as the fastest path to understanding reality and making good decisions. It builds stronger relationships too, ironically, because it's based on substance, not just politeness.
So wrapping this all up, the big takeaway seems to be that success isn't really about some innate magic or genius. It's about deeply understanding how reality works and then systematically using that understanding to get what you want. It's about iterating constantly.
That's the synthesis, really. It's this continuous loop. You start with your values, which inform your goals. Pursuing goals inevitably reveals problems. You must accurately diagnose those problems down to the root cause. Then you design solutions or improvements to your machine. And finally, you execute those designs through tasks.
Values, goals, problems, diagnoses, designs, tasks, over and over.
And if you're stuck, if you're not progressing, the bottleneck is almost always in there somewhere. Very often it's the psychological barrier, that reluctance to truly face mistakes and weaknesses head-on, to do the hard work of diagnosis.
Okay, so since almost everyone struggles with at least one of those 5 steps, here's maybe a final thought for you to consider from this deep dive.
Right.
Pinpoint the one step in that cycle: goals, problems, diagnosis, design, or tasks that trips you up most often. Where does your personal machine tend to break down?
That's a tough question.
It is. Is it setting truly clear goals? Is it rigorously diagnosing the root cause instead of just the symptoms? Or is it the discipline to actually follow through on the plan?
Yeah.
Once you identify your most common bottleneck, the provocative next step is: who or what tool or system could you bring into your machine right now to compensate for that specific weakness?
Leveraging the machine concept for personal improvement.
Exactly. Making that first move to compensate, to design around your own limitation. That could be the single biggest step you take today toward accelerating your own evolution.